Welcome to the Cosmic Download for April 2016. I'm Anna Francesca Celestino.
And I'm Simone Butler.
Simone and I were prepping for this reading today, and oh my gosh, we covered everything from the macrocosm to the microcosm, from politics and world affairs and cosmic evolution to personal shadow work and that inner core guidance system that we have. So we have covered really the gamut here. So we'll see where this goes, but I think we've got a lot to talk about this month. Simone, you want to jump in?
Sure. There's a couple of themes happening in April that I'd like to address. The first is that, of course, we are now in the Aries time frame as of the equinox. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. This is the astrological new year. And traditionally, the first new moon of the new year is the Aries new moon. And we do have that coming in on the 7th of April. And it's a very powerful new moon, new beginning, because the sun is conjunct Uranus, the planet of change and evolution and freedom and excitement. So there's a sense of a real fresh start about this new moon that's very exciting, and it's like cutting your losses. You know, if you haven't already let go of what isn't working in your life, this energy will really help you to do so. There's a Jupiter-Saturn square as well happening the first week of April that speaks to cutting your losses too. But then Mars, the planet of action and energy, which actually rules Aries, goes retrograde in April. And so that's really the big news of the month. The retrograde of Mars, which will last for 3 full months, is a very intense time frame in which Mars, the warrior energy, goes inward. So our inner warriors are being called forth. And we're going to talk more about this in this call. I know Anna has a lot to say about this too, is about what do we really believe? Who are we? How are we aligned with our deepest inner warrior self? And by warrior, of course, I don't mean the fighter, so to speak. It's the spiritual warrior. So the Mars retrograde is about going within, rediscovering what we really believe, and really either acting on that or at least keeping the faith about what we know to be true, especially in the face of all the insanity that's going on in the world right now, right? Because retrograde Mars, a lot of people who lack consciousness are going to be acting out under this energy, and that's political candidates who shall remain nameless and terrorists. These are all Sagittarian extremist type energies that, you know, we've already been seeing as Mars has been slowing down, getting ready to go backward. But the next 3 months, that stuff, it's going to be in our face. It's pretty much going to force us to really get clear on what's acceptable and what isn't for ourselves. And turn off your TV is my advice, and listen to your own self rather than what is going on around you.
There's several things that you touched on there, Simone, that I really can relate to. One of them is definitely keeping the faith. I agree. What I see over the next little while is we're going to see some kind of gnarly stuff going on in the world. In some ways, as horrible as it is, it's allowing us to see the underbelly, the shadow side of what's left out there in the world. We've been talking a lot over the last couple of months about that alignment between the inner self and the outer self, and I see that as well for us as a collective. Are we behaving in the way that matches who we believe we are? And like I said, that's true for us individually, and I know we all do our best, and we really try. It's just a matter of attending to those last bits that haven't been handled. I believe, you know, as humanity, we see ourselves in a certain way, and yet there are still so many atrocities and things going on in the world that need to be addressed. So I really feel like we've entered a cycle that's powerful, and it is something to have hope about, because as awful as things look, that it's forcing us to come together to decide how we're going to live going forward, where our level of agreement is. And Simone, you and I were talking earlier, and we were talking about, well, if things are really bad, how can they change? And we talked about how powerful agreement is. I think that we're really coming together in our evolution to say, this is who we are, this is who we want to be, and this is how we're going to live. The energy that I saw for April was very optimistic. If you've been doing your work, if you've been really addressing those shadow parts of yourself, the parts that just don't jive anymore with who you know yourself to be, which takes some discipline to change those old habits. But if you've been doing the work, I see that life is really there and really available to get behind you. I feel like up till now, the energy has been very difficult. It's like swimming upstream. And as of this month, with this new year starting up, I really feel like we've crossed over into a point where you can get in the flow. You step in and get in the flow and go with it. So, again, there's a lot to be hopeful about as we go forward here. You just have to be doing your work. You have to be really listening to that inner dialogue. Simone, I think you had something to say about that.
I just wanted to mention that I think the eclipses of March have blasted open some new territory, basically, especially that March 8 Pisces eclipse. Pisces is like the underworld of emotions, and I've been thinking a lot lately about the feeling realm, and I think that we have all collectively been repressing our true feelings, which is the feminine. And now I'm writing a book about the moon and the feminine, and so I'm thinking deeply on these subjects, and I'm realizing, even within myself, that it's scary to really verbalize my feelings. And I think that that's been true for many of us. And so what we may be seeing in the world, even though it's ugly in many ways, is this outpouring, like this eruption of previously suppressed feelings and anger, like a wound is being lanced or a pimple is being popped. Maybe that's better. That's kind of gross. That's gross, sorry. But, I mean, it's really, truly like that. That's why I say at least limit how much you are watching the TV and listening to the radio and all this ugly rhetoric that you're being subjected to, because it's very toxic, and we need to protect ourselves, and we need to really get in touch with our deeper beliefs and feelings. And I would really recommend writing down what you truly believe, making sure you keep a journal if you don't already. Just separate what you believe from, all the rest of it, and affirm that on the deepest level. And Anna, I think you had a good exercise for people to do this month as well, didn't you?
Simone, you're talking about really listening to what you believe and getting clear about that. And the other piece of that to me is, what are you feeling? What are you thinking? What's going on inside? What I would encourage you to do this month is to take 5 minutes before you go to bed and really listen to yourself. What's agitated in you? What are you worried about? What have you been dwelling on? What are you afraid of? Really listen to yourself, because in the past, part of the problem with the feminine is that it was ignored. It wasn't valued. It wasn't respected. That inner knowing, our intuition, you can respect yourself by listening to the dialogue that's going on within. And I have a worksheet that I'm happy to share with you guys. It's called my emotional workout. And if you go to my website, I'll make that available to you. And it's just a quick 5-minute process that really helps you take an inventory of your internal landscape. A, you're going to sleep better, and B, you're going to have a really good sense of what's really driving you. And it gives you a little bit of an exercise that you can do also to begin to change things for the next day.
That's beautiful, Anna. Thank you. I can't wait to get a hold of that.
Well, like we promised at the beginning, we've covered a lot. We've talked about what's going on out in the world, the scary things that can be happening around us. In summary, we're really encouraging you to have hope, have faith that things are going to work out, and you can start by changing things first within yourself, and then things change out in the world. We wish you a fantastic month. There's lots of things that can be happening in a positive way for you. Do your shadow work, and we'll see you next month.
And Happy New Year. Bye-bye.